Hey Stefan, how you doing today?
Good. How about you?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. You're out in Florida enjoying the good life, and we're here in Edmonton. Working hard for you, making sure that Starfleet Detailing becomes a household name, at least in the mobile fleet detailing department. We were just having a discussion before we turned on the Zoom about selling the franchise and really finding that the right person for the franchise business. Maybe talk a little bit about some of the things you've done to try and sell the Starfleet detailing franchise, and the types of people that we're coming up against, and maybe we can speak to somebody who is the right fit for Starfleet.
Yeah. Well, what we're doing is we're trying to find the right fit, and the right fit would be somebody that has experience in detailing. It is something that requires physical activity, physical work. And so we want somebody that enjoys working. It's not a franchise just to invest money and get somebody else to do the work. I mean, you can do that, but at the early stages, you have to be hands-on. And there's a benefit to that because then you really understand the business. And we started like that. And so if you ask me any question on the topic, I have an answer. But it's not because I just invested in the business and stayed home. It's because
Yeah.
I was hands-on and I was involved. And also I did problem solving, try to figure out the best product, the best techniques to resolve certain issues. Because in our franchise, when it comes to commercial detailing, the whole point of companies calling is because they want us to solve their problem, right? So
Yeah.
we're problem solvers. And so that in itself it has a certain satisfaction to know that, these big multi-million dollar companies are counting on us to
Yeah.
come and then help them bail them out of a situation. And those situations could be it could be mice remediation, could be a vehicle or a truck that was left outside for a few months. And it happens off season. For these companies have these vehicles out there, and somehow mouse gets in and does a nest, and they go to start up and use it. And it's like, oh my goodness, what happened here, right? So, oh, we got to call somebody. And so that's when they call us. It could be also smoke. Well, I would say most companies don't allow smoking inside their vehicles, but that doesn't mean people listen. And then they'll have a truck, let's say the fire guy, or he quits, and then all of a sudden they find this disaster, ashtray smell in their vehicles. And so the next guy that comes into that is like, I can't use this vehicle. So they call us up and we solve their problems. So it's a type of the detailers that we're looking for, people that enjoy going in and helping people out, because that's at the end of the day what we're doing. We're helping people out. And when we do find that candidate, then we feel that it's going to work out for us.
Let's talk about the type of people that go to franchise shows versus reality, right? So people go to franchise shows. What are they looking to do?
Well, when they go to franchise show, they're excited to see what's out there. I think it's like any type of show. You don't know really what to expect, and you're kind of excited, and you go there, and you usually go with an open mind. And when you go there, you start to be mesmerized by all these salesmen that are trying to sell you a franchise. And our franchise is actually probably the cheapest franchise you can buy. So our initial investment to get into the franchise and then get all your equipment in your van is about $70,000 Canadian. Most are at least 100,000 and up, and a lot of them are U.S. funds. So you might go to a Canadian franchise, but you got to pay these big fees, investments in US dollars because they're US franchises. So that's another thing that people don't realize. And so when they get there, they are overwhelmed by all the different options. And of course, they all look like great options. And now they're starting to think, not reality, but they start to dream. Oh boy, all I have to do is invest 100,000 and then I'll just stay home and enjoy life. Well, that's not what it is. Franchise, you have to be involved. You're investing into a business. You have to start from scratch. Most franchises don't really start making a profit for several years, because they have to get your initial investment back. You have to get employees. You have to get a physical, physical address. You got to get a lease, commitment. You get furnished. By the end of the day, you're $500,000 in. And that's what I like about our franchise. It's 70,000. You don't have to have a location. It's a mobile business. You're your own boss, and you control how much money you want to make. You want to make an extra, $200-$300. You just work a couple hours more. And so it's really, it's really the perfect scenario as far as freedom and also being your own boss and making good money.
Yeah, the one thing that I really like about franchises in general is if you've never operated a business before, okay, you've never done it, you've never tried to venture out on your own, because there's a lot to it, right? There's a lot to running a business. It's not just opening up a business, having a website, and you're off to the races. The good thing about a franchise is there's a proven system that's already built into the cake. So as long as you listen and you're teachable and you follow the systems that are in place, you should be successful. And that's what I like about that. And the fact that Starfleet Detailing is so economical, I'm not going to say that's no money. That's a decent investment. But at the same time, it's low in comparison to a restaurant, a fast food chain, or any of these other, types of franchises that are out there. So if you were to, I guess, if you're talking to somebody today on the video that is interested in a Starfleet Detailing franchise, what would be a list of things that they should be prepared to do or have before they commit to Starfleet Detailing? Like, how much money do they need? What kind of insurances are they going to need to look at? What kind of hours are they hoping to work? And what would be a good list for them to kind of rebuild before they contact you and say, hey, I'm ready to get involved in Starfleet?
Well, before we even talk about money, it's important to have certain experience in the detailing. If you're not an enthusiastic person when it comes to cars, for example, or cleanliness, then you're not really going to care about it. If you have a car and it's, it needs a detail, then most likely you're not going to be a good candidate, because it has to be somebody that's passionate about it. For example, when we hire employees in our business, we hire somebody with experience, because what we've seen through the years is that whenever we say, this person sounds like he's a good candidate, he's young, he loves cars, doesn't have experience, but he really wants to make something of himself. And then we train him, and next thing you know, it's like, oh, not really for me. They're gone, right? So we waste money training people that don't really know if they like detailing. In the same token, you wouldn't want to invest, say, $5,000, let's say, on a franchise for detailing and not know anything about it. It doesn't make any sense. So it has to be somebody that has some experience in cars. My best workers that I've had are detailers that have been doing it right out of high school, because for whatever reason, it could be because they like cars. It could maybe because they don't like school. And so, they want to work physically. They don't really want to work with their mind. But then as they gain experience, then they're like, okay, I want to start using my mind now. I want to do something that's not just with my hands. And so having a franchise like this helps them do both, right? Because if you're a hands-on person, and you'll hate a desk job. You're using your mind on a desk job, but you're going to hate it because you're used to using your hands. So now we're giving you both. You get to use your mind, you get to use your hands, and then you can be your own boss and you can build something. And when you're buying a franchise, so when you commit to a franchise with us, it's for 10 years. After 10 years, you can renew. But you can also sell your franchise. It's your business. You're building up your customer base, and so you're building up value, right? So if you try to start detailing outfit by yourself, there's nothing to sell. It's like, it's just a list of names and numbers. But for us, there's brand. You have these relationships with companies, so you've got something to sell if ever you want to get out. So you're really building a business, and we help you do it, because if you try to do it by yourself, I mean, the rate of failure is so high, and it's because people get discouraged and they give up. And there's so much involved in building a business. It's not just doing the work, it's being organized. And it's also, apart from being organized, you have to be able to market yourself. You have to be able to build up relationships. And those are things that are hard to learn on your own. Because if you don't do it right the first time, you're just burning bridges as you go, right?
Yeah. Another thing that's important is having a strong work ethic, right? Because there's no boss pounding down your door to say, "Hey, guy, you got to be here at 8 a.m." Right? You got to make sure you're ready to go for work. You got to have that kind of built in internally that, this is your business. It's important to you. So you have that internal clock and drive in order to get out there and be motivated every day, even when the phone isn't ringing. Be motivated to do something in the business, whether it's working on a system, a project, improving your sales skills, cleaning your own vehicle, or just sharpening up on your skills, something that you're acting as an owner and no longer an employee.
Yeah. And the biggest motivator, I think, is the money. So if you're working for somebody by the hour, you're a detailer, you're making $20 an hour, and then you're tired, your boss says, "Hey, I need you to work an extra couple hours." It's like $40. I'm tired. I don't care. I'm going to go home. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you're your own boss and you say, "You know what, I got to work a couple extra hours, but I'll make an extra $200. I mean, that's half my car payment for the month. So that's a big motivator. Money has always been, I think, the best motivator, but it has to be a good amount, not just a little bit. And you're also you're building your business, right? It's not just a job, which doesn't motivate much. It's your business, it's your name, it's your reputation. It makes you feel good too.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of, benefits to being a business owner. One is time. Like once someone's established in their Starfleet detailing and they've got somebody who's working with them or working for them, it gives you a little bit more time to do things that you normally wouldn't be able to do. Like if you have to book out early to go take care of an appointment or go, build a relationship with another company, you have the time to actually do that because somebody else is cleaning the vehicles for you, and you're leveraging their time as opposed to you being the only lever that's available.
For sure. If you're going to be using, if you have an employee and you're paying them $20 an hour, you're billing 100, you're left with 80. That's pretty good. That's always an option. But I recommend though that you start off doing everything yourself, just so you really understand the business. Because it's another thing too, is you might be demanding too much of your employees because you have no idea what's involved. And then if they feel that you're too demanding, they'll quit, right? So it's definitely has its time, but right off the bat is not the time. So
that makes a lot of sense. You can build up that empathy for what you're asking them to do, because it goes back to that saying, like, I would never ask somebody to do something I wasn't willing to do myself. Mm-hmm. So if you're asking them to do something, it's because you've already been there and done that. And you know how much it sucks, and you also know how important it is to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it definitely works well when it comes to employer-employee relationships, is when they feel that you understand. Mm-hmm. They know that off the bat, because when they ask you a question, you have the answers like that, right? Yeah. So they know that you know what you're talking about, and that when they ask you, or when you ask something of them, they know that maybe it's because they're tired or whatever, because you remember they're only making $25 an hour, let's say, right? So for them, it's hard for that to be a motivator. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think that gives people a little bit better of an idea about Starfleet, about the franchise, about what to expect when purchasing one, and really it's not just the financial investment; it's the investment in yourself and the investment of time in perfecting your craft. And like you said, you're using not only your body, but you're using your mind when you're developing a Starfleet detailing business. And the good thing is they have the support. They have support of you and your team, really giving them guidance and help and training along the way. Maybe talk a little bit about that before we sign off.
So, as a franchisee, once they buy into a franchise, we help them from A to Z. We help them buy their van, their equipment. We train them on how to become a top-notch detailer, and then how to run the software, how to go about and generate work. So do their cold calling. We have a few different options for marketing that they can do. And so they have guidance. It's not like, okay, you buy, it's like buying anything nowadays. You got to get a training to do anything, right? There's a software. It's like you got to spend a week trying to learn how to use it. And then if you got to do it on your own after a while, it's like, oh, this doesn't make sense, or I'm doing what they're saying and it's not working, and then you give up, and then it just sits there, and all that money invested is kind of sleeping there. But with a franchise, that we have a schedule. It's like, okay, let's do this, do this, do this, and then once everything's started, then we launch, and it's just A to Z is really, really, really nice, because you're getting somewhere, and most people need somebody to train them. That's what I've found through the years. A lot of people, if not most, can't do, like, for example, they can't self-teach. So just by researching and all, that's work. Most people can't do that. They have to be in front of somebody that tells them what to do. And that's okay, because as long as you know what your weaknesses are, or your strengths, you go, for that. So if you're a person that doesn't like being in front of a teacher, you like to figure things out on your own, well, okay, good for you, and then do it that way, right? But most people aren't like that. And I also wanted to point out that a lot, if not most businesses now are franchises. I don't know if you notice that, but you go down the street, in almost every business you come across, I would estimate probably 90% of businesses are franchises. Why? Well, because they're more successful. Brand recognition is everything now. And when you go into the detailing, like the mobile detailing, it's just a one-man show, and there's no brand building. And so it's hard to build something that people don't recognize. When there's, they can't remember your name, they punch in mobile detailing, and then they're like, because it's all generic names, they can't even figure out who came last. So brand building, franchising is very, it's very intertwined. And so I feel that if you're going to start a business, you want to invest in something, a franchise is the way to go. But which type of franchise, that's for you to figure out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, thanks so much for talking with us today. This is going to be some good information for people, and hopefully that you'll get some more calls and get some more people interested in purchasing franchises across Canada.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
You bet. Take care.
Yeah.